BBNradio.com.
Hi guys, this is Sunny Chayes, and you're with me today on Singing in the Rain with Always the Power of One. And I have a very, very special guest with me today, actually two, and then we're going to add yet a third as the show goes on. I have a story that is taken out of a story that is yet another story of an entirely phenomenal story. And that has everything to do with the power of the heart. It is one of my favorite movies, as you guys know, and one of my favorite books. I know John's going to pull this up, but I have all my toys here to keep me company. And we are going to bring on a woman. I'm going to go ahead and let Shannon come on so you can see her beautiful face, and go ahead and lay out the story. And this is why you guys tune in. If you've ever tuned into my show before, you are glad you did today. So John, we're going to go ahead and bring on Shannon's beautiful face, and then I'm going to chat about why she's on the show with us today. Yay! So I'm going to lay out the stage for people who have not seen The Power of the Heart. There are many elements of this movie that was executive produced by Baptist de Pape, who's going to actually be joining us in a little bit by Skype. And this story, there are many, many stories in The Power of the Heart. And one of the stories in this Power of the Heart is about a young girl named Christina Chesterman who was very, very prematurely killed by a drunk driving person who hit her on her bike about a block away from her home. If that is just not the most tragic story in the world. And so her parents found in the bathroom a bit after she passed away an actual bucket list. And God, I'm like getting choked up already. And on this bucket list were many, many things. And they were very simple things. They were very beautiful things that really, really showed her heart and her spirit and her creative way of being and just her originality and just such a unique human being. And again, such an angel, and so sad that she's not with us. And many of the things on the bucket list she had been able to do, and some of them she had not been able to do before she passed away. And the woman, she ended up being able to continue her life because she gave her heart posthumously to a woman named Susan, who's a nurse, and she is still living with Christina's heart. And she was able to do a couple of the things on the bucket list. The parents vowed to do everything on the bucket list, but there was one thing that they were too afraid to do, and that was to go skydiving, to jump out of a plane. So, goodness, keep going, Sonny. So, there is a beautiful person who's in our studio right now for the first time in the United States from the Netherlands, who was just watching a movie, just went to the movie with friends, just like we all do, saw this movie, and for some reason in her heart was pulled out the idea that she was going to do the last and final thing on the bucket list because the mom was too scared, the dad, as it turns out, was too scared too, and Susan couldn't do it because of health reasons. And so Shannon just felt that she was going to do this. So that's part of the story. So welcome, Shannon, to our story and to our show, UBN Radio, here in Hollywood, California, very far away from your land.
That is, yeah. Thank you so much for the invite in your program. And I feel honored that I can be here, and I'm actually a little bit excited. Yes.
It's so emotional. Such an emotional thing that you did. And so you did, when I saw, Baptiste sent me the video of you training to jump out of a plane. It's not like you always do this. You were probably scared to pieces to do it too.
Oh my God, I was frightened. Yeah, really. So exciting.
So the one other thing I want to say before we actually get into the story is that you then became a Netherlandish sensation. I mean, there have been many, many articles written about you, and you've been on shows and everything like that. So that's why underneath your name it says Bucket List Flying Angel. I named you that today.
So sweet. Thank you.
And I know Baptiste is going to like that too. Bucket List Flying Angel. That is you.
Amazing.
And you're a nurse too. So Christina was training to be a nurse. Susan is a nurse or was a nurse. She's retired now. And you're a nurse. So there's all this connection. So now I'm going to stop speaking and I'm going to bring you in.
Thank
Tell
you
us.
so much. Yeah, when I saw the movie The Power of the Heart and I heard this story about Christina Chesterman, and it immediately touched my heart. She was a girl with such a positive life attitude, and she lived from her heart, and if she felt it was the right thing to do, she did it. And it was a girl that didn't live for her own, but with a caring and loving heart for the world around her. And when her mom found out bucket list, and she told that she wasn't brave enough to do that parachute jump, suddenly something happened to me at that moment. Just in a split second, I got overwhelmed by warm and happy feelings that's rushing through my body. And the only thing that came up in me was, I'm going to do that jump for her. I didn't think about it. I didn't stood still by it. The inside of my heart just was there. And the next day, I got in contact with a skydive organization to plan my parachute jump. And I searched for her mom, Sandra, on Facebook. I added her, and I sent her an email who I was and what I wanted to do, that I wanted to do that parachute jump for their daughter. And I planned the parachute jump, and later, when everything was arranged, there came fear, and there came doubts. And then I realized everything was so clear. It was my head start talking, and it gives me fear and wants to change my mind. But at that moment at the movie, it was my heart that spoke, and that's always right. So I said to myself, Shannon, where are you going to listen to? Your head or your heart?
Wow.
Yeah, and at that moment, I just said, I'm going to follow my heart, and I just forget the risk and take the fall, and I do the parachute jump. It was so exciting. I was so thrilled, but I did it, and it was like, yeah, it also was an experience for me to get eye in eye with my own fear, and just have the faith and have the belief and just surrender to the moment and just enjoying it and trust that everything will be all right. Yeah.
Wow, and we're seeing right now you jumping out of the plane. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. It was scary. Tell us a little bit about it, because I'm sure many of the viewers and listeners will not actually ever do this. So tell us a little let us live vicariously through you a little bit.
It was frightening. I was up in the air, and I was like seeing the ground, and I was like, oh my God. Why did I decide to do this? I was like, it's not that I wake up in the morning and I think, oh, I'm going to do parachute jump. I was so scared. But then I took a moment for myself, just a little meditation moment to get back to my heart and just have the trust. And then I just did it. And I knew Christina would be right by my side, just holding my hand, and we were jumping together. And everything, it just went perfect. But it was so scary. I was so scared.
Were you scared the whole time, or was there any period where you actually could really enjoy the whole thing?
When I just surrender to the moment, then I could enjoy I could enjoy this moment to the fullest. Yeah. Yeah.
So amazing. And now you're here in the States, and you're going to what next after you leave the studio?
Wow. Actually, this is the first time in my life that I'm in America. And I'm going to meet the parents of Christina, because our contact got only more intense after my jump. And they say, get your plane ticket. And now I'm going to meet them in personal. And I can give the pictures, and I can give my YouTube little movie on a USB stick. And I can give the T-shirt I created for Christina in personal. And I just can't believe it. Wow, it's how everything fall into place by just following your heart. And I think that's what Baptiste means. That's the power of the heart. Yeah.
And the thing about this movie that I love so much is, and I've seen it many times like you, I've seen it, I think, 10 times. And the first time I saw it,
Me too.
This is a magic number, although I know there'll be more, is that when I first saw the movie, I really was captured by the forgiveness story with Immaculée Lakaziba in Rwanda, and all of that piece really grabbed me, probably for the first 3 times I saw it. I loved all different bits, but now at the 4th, 5th, 6th, each of these different times, I really gathered in my heart and my mind and brought it all together in my soul, the different elements of this. It's astoundingly delicate and interwoven story within stories within stories, and how Christina's story weaves in and out and really brings to life the science, the poetry, the story of one's life. Again, the bucket list. I mean, oh my goodness. And then you being the bucket list flying angel. I'm wondering if we should bring on Baptiste to our show. And before we do, or I know John is going to prepare him, he's Skyping in. Baptiste de Pape, I'm very proud to call a very good friend of mine. And he has been touring all over the world, showing this movie to sold out houses of 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people. Standing ovations, hundreds of people buying books and CDs. The book it may still be #1 in Dubai. It is a hugely, hugely popular experience with people who are business people, as well as spiritual people, as well as just conscious human beings, as well as just all human beings put together, all of the things I said and all in one. And that's what's so exciting about this, is it's not just for a certain group of people. It tends to be, as Baptiste is finding, there's something in it, honestly, for everyone. And so he has really been an ambassador, a crusader, the little engine that could, or the shiny engine that does, that I now name you, all over the world, showing this movie and speaking about it. And I know, Christina, you've joined him on some, and I have as well. So without any further ado, let us bring on Baptiste de Pape. Now we can put on our headphones so we can hear him. Hi, Baptiste.
Hello, son. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Well, I know you got to hear the beginning of the show, so I want you to just jump right in. Come flying in with us.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to hear your voice, Shannon. But I want to. So I hear my own echo all the time, so it's
Is that
very
okay,
hard for
John?
me to speak.
Yeah, we don't hear it.
Oh, we don't hear it. So,
Hello?
yeah, we're okay. We don't hear it.
Okay, I see. Now it's gone. Okay, that's great. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. No, I mean, Shannon's story is just an incredible story. When I saw the video where she actually did the jump, I really felt like, oh my God, she really is doing this. And I know that Sandra and Dave and Suzanne Vieira, the nurse who got Christina's heart in the first place, they did not want to do it for several reasons, all for different reasons. Sandra just because she's too scared to do it. Susan obviously because she cannot do it because of health reasons. And Dave is also not waiting to do it. So I really admire Shannon for doing this. And I think it's remarkable because, Shannon is a young nurse in the Netherlands, and she sees the film, and something deep inside her, in her heart, pulls her to do this. And I think that this is an amazing example of the power of the heart. You see that now Shannon is even going to meet Sandra and Dave Chesterman, the parents of Christina, and they are embracing her because she is fulfilling this part of the bucket list. So I think it really is an incredible story, and I think this story is not over yet.
Absolutely. It's just, and don't you love that the creativity of and the heart that came from Shannon, just watching the movie in a cinema, just having popcorn and whatever she was eating with her friends, and then felt so strongly about just that connection that this movie that you've created has created across, I mean, thousands and thousands of miles in so many cases, and this is one gorgeous, exquisite example of it, of course, shining example. And that's what we're here to talk about today, and also just many things I know that are happening that you may never hear about.
Oh yes, I mean,
and may hear about, I hope.
This really has a ripple effect all over the world. I'm traveling all over the world. I'm doing all these screenings, and the strangest, craziest things are happening. And I only hear maybe 1 or 2% about it, and I'm so happy that I'm aware of Shannon's story, and I'm in a way I'm happy that Shannon is living in the Netherlands. So we've become friends. So I think it's really wonderful to be part of this story. And now, of course, it's just one story. There are so many stories because of this film, because the people in the film are sharing from their heart, and this has a ripple effect. There's a saying in the Torah: words that come from the heart touch the heart. And I think that's what happens when people are watching this film, because all the people who are speaking in this film, they are really sharing and speaking from their heart. So that's why other people are really touched by it.
Are you
And
finding? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, and are taking action because of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is what I feel like we're in right now. There is so much going on in the world on so many levels. If you speak to some people, it's doom and gloom, and other people, it's all great, and there's everything in between. And I feel like with just everybody's heart breaking open, I had Marianne Williamson on last week, and we were talking about basically sex and relationship and romance and sensuality and women being open to it at a certain point. And I said, my heart is basically broken most of the time, broken open most of the time because of what I do, because of what I see, because of the show I do with things like the Rwandan genocide or pollution or, just all the things that go on. I'm in this sort of 30% or something, heartbreak open all the time. And then what to do with that and how to do that, how to live with that and move forward with it. And a movie like this really allowing us to know how powerful the heart is and the feeling and not running away from it, right? I mean, what do you feel about that? Having the heart break open and really deeply feeling.
Well, the problem is that sometimes you want to run away from it, but you can't.
Yeah.
And a very good example of that is, of course, the Tutsi woman in the movie Immaculée Ilibagiza. She wants to run away from the situation, but she's locked up in a bedroom for 3 months, literally. And I also think that the Chestermans who lose their daughter Christina, they are living a nightmare. This is the worst thing that can happen to a parent, to lose your child. And they are living a complete nightmare, but they are just trying to find hope again and trying to find meaning behind everything that's happening. And the bucket list is helping them with that.
Yes.
Because they're experiencing in a way that Christina is still there, but not in the flesh, but in spirit. And they are feeling her. And so you see them going through the first phase of this whole mourning process. And Mark Nepo, one of the speakers in the film, beautifully says, it's like a match that holds fire until it strikes against something. There is no flame. And I believe that when we are put in very powerful crisis situations, then sometimes because of the pressure, our full potential comes out. Diamonds become diamonds under pressure. And I think we shift to another higher identity when we do that. We shift from the identity of the personality to a heart identity, to an identity that is aligned with our soul. And I think sometimes we don't see what the gift in all those terrible situations is, but looking back at it, we always see a gift once we have gone through a certain transformation. And I think that's what's happening to the people in the film. They shift,
Yes.
They're making a journey from the mind to the heart.
Yes, and there's an expression moving around a little bit right now called the bounce. And I don't know if you've heard of that in your European land, but it's sort of, the concept is that when we go very low, the lower we go, sort of the higher we can go. And I think of that so much in my own life. And I also think of that, of course, it's beautifully shown in the movie The Power of the Heart. And you can say a little bit about that, the bounce in the movie The Power of the Heart. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think you do, with the billionaire.
Oh yeah, the trampoline scene.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's
Caught
this
you off guard.
there's this Greek entrepreneur, and he's doing business with another Greek entrepreneur who happens to be a billionaire. And he says, I'm not going to do business with you until you go with me onto the trampoline in the center of Greece, in the center of Athens in Greece. And of course, the billionaire entrepreneur refuses to do that. And then, of course, because our Greek friend in the film is so persuasive, he persuades him to go onto the trampoline. And what happens is the heart opens and they become both really childlike, And childlike has different meanings, of course. But what I just feel is that they really come into their heart, and they communicate from a different level with each other instead of just let's do business.
Yes, yes. And that literal bounce, and how by the lower we go, the higher we can actually go.
Yes, and I also think that in the film they talk about the difference between being childlike and childish. But I think when we are childlike, we are curious, we are fearless, we are trusting. We are more resilient. We are kind. We're happy. We're more engaged. We're energetic, and we're fun-loving. And I think that's also what I feel. You feel this too when you're speaking with Shannon. She's very childlike
Yes, she
in the most
is.
beautiful way. And
Uh-huh.
that opens our heart. And I think we need that energy, that pure childlike energy. We need that back in our world.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and as I say that when we were all chatting when you were in Europe, and we were talking, and Baptiste, you had so many beautiful things to say about Shannon, and then when we just met today, you literally are again. I feel like you are now a part of our the Power of the Heart family, an ambassador, the flying angel, and Baptiste, you're absolutely right. She's just. It's kind of shocking. You
Well,
rock, girl. You rock.
Shannon is like Alice in Wonderland right now.
Yes.
And she has a theme going with her coffee and the hearts. It's
Oh,
pure-
yeah. Thank you,
Tell
John.
us about that, Shannon.
The person who's just speaking right now is our fabulous engineer, John Williams. And say a short bit about it, because I also want to say one other thing. But yeah, tell us.
It's actually remarkable that I have, since the last time, I have, when I drink a black cup of coffee and when it's finished, at the bottom of my cup there comes a heart. But not just a heart, but a perfectly shaped heart.
Wow.
And I have now, I put a paper next to it with a number, and I've made a photo of them all, and I have now 25 cups of coffee with hearts in it. But they're really perfect.
Oh,
but
my
I'm
goodness.
like, it's like the universe wants to give you a sign, but
Yes.
I don't know what it is yet.
Well, I love that so much. And speaking of signs, Baptiste, I don't know if you know this, but as you know, Shannon's going to see the Chestermans in a little while. And one of the ways that this has we've all been able to come together is by Richard Cohen and Michelle Ascianti, who are the distributors and publishers of The Power of the Heart, both the book and the movie. And Michelle was telling me that she met with Mr. Chesterman. What's his David?
Dave.
And they were having a coffee, some breakfast, and David brought to them. They had decided to do one of the symbols for Christina. She loved flowers and roses so much that they decided to do this this rose for her. And some of you may know that roses have what is it called, like ancestry? They come together. And one of the strains of the roses that is Christina's is called "Singing in the Rain."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Is that something else? And when Michelle told me this,
That's amazing.
The two of us were crying our eyes out.
Wow.
It was like, that
Yeah.
is too much. And she gave me the picture of the rose, and it's pink and white, and there are 3 strains, and one of them is "Singing in the Rain." So when Michelle saw that, she was like, we are so on the right journey. I mean, we just keep getting these messages, these breadcrumbs along the way that are so beautiful.
Yes. Paulo Coelho, one of the speakers in The Power of the Heart, the author of The Alchemist, he says, you have to pay attention to the signs, because the universe is giving you signs all the time, and we have to pay attention.
Yes, yes. Well, I know that we're coming to the end of our segment in the next. We have a few more minutes left, and so I want to make sure that we get everything in. And I do want to thank Beyond Words for bringing us all together, because I feel so graced and blessed, and there's so much that I've learned, and there's so much inspiration that I received not only from the story, but also from you, Baptiste, in your articulate, constant drumbeat of going forward with bringing this movie to as many people as possible, and then of course the stories like Shannon in particular, with this just heartwarming, breaking open story. And so I want to make sure that we speak a little bit about what's happening, or anything that you want to make sure that we know, Baptiste, if you want to share with us.
Well, the first thing I want to say, if you haven't seen The Power of the Heart yet, watch the film. Go to our website, thepoweroftheheart.com. That's thepoweroftheheart.com. Check us out on Facebook. Our Facebook page is The Power of the Heart, and you will recognize us because of the blue vignette. And we are really a global movement. We're growing by over 1,000 people per day right now, and this film can really change and transform your life. I've been witnessing it all over Europe, and now I'm touring in North America. People are changed by this film, so go check it out. You
In
can
Russia.
Yes, yes, like Russia, it's doing very well in Russia right now. It's out in South Korea, in Japan, in India. But if you haven't seen it, this is a must-see. And
Yes.
I'm the producer, I know, but it is really a must-see. I think that also Shannon can, can say something about it, because I think this movie also changed her life. It gave her
Yes.
extra courage, and it gave her a different direction and a different meaning, I think, to her life.
Yes.
What I also would like to say is that just give this film, just go watch it. That's what I would like to say. And the website is thepoweroftheheart.com. And if I know you have seen the film yourself, Sonny, many times now. If you have any doubts, just ask Sonny if you should see. If you could
Absolutely.
watch this film.
Yes, and I'm also going to say one thing about this film too, is that I really want to honor it and have everybody honor it, which means really seeing it full out. Don't just watch it on your laptop. I mean, this is my recommendation, because I know we have these different ways of viewing portals, and I really respect and love this movie so much, and Baptiste and all the people who made it. I mean, Marianne Williamson's in it, by the way. One of the most beautiful capturings of Maya Angelou. What a jewel capturing that Baptiste was able to get with Maya Angelou. Many other people, you can see the list. It's extensive list. Eckhart Tolle, Isabel Allende, so many beautiful people are in this movie. And also, it is a movie to see uninterrupted. Just please give it that honor. So I want to say that, and I know we have like 2 minutes left. So that I want to say. And I also want to thank you, Baptiste, for tuning in today, and for just eating your Wheaties and your lattes and everything, and continuing doing this all over the world. And I think we have like 1 minute, so Shannon, I'll let you speak.
I can only agree what Baptiste just said. If it's a message to everyone, if you haven't seen this movie yet, it's such an inspiring and heartwarming movie, and it's not just a movie, but it will not only change you, but it will change the rest of your life. And I just want to say thank you so much, Baptiste, for this beautiful movie
Yes.
that you created, because this is not only a message, but it's a great gift to the world.
Yes.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you so much, Shannon and Sunny. Also, you're an angel. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
always
always my
a pleasure to
pleasure.
be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to having you in the States here when we can actually have you in the studio. And Shannon, I know you're going up to see the Chestermans, and you'll be doing tours with Baptiste. And again, we have the book and the movies, so it's also a phenomenal gift to give to people. So I highly recommend that. And also have watch parties. It's so great to do that. Speaking of watch parties, I want to say really, really briefly that starting this Sunday, there will be an incredible watch party for a happening called Belief, which is a heart-centered series that Oprah Winfrey put together from her own pocketbook, her own dream, she's doing it completely differently and having people like me promote it as opposed to the other ways. So find that on Ohm, watch that. There are stories that will literally break your heart open. And I just want to remind everybody to check us out on everything, Twitter, Facebook, the fan page. Send any information and questions you have to me to get to these guys. You can also find them. Just Google The Power of the Heart. And I just want to remind you all that our hearts have so much power. We're learning that scientifically. We already know it spiritually. We know it as person to person, country to country, children to children, people to people, everywhere, all over the world. Shannon, I honor you so much for doing what you did and what you're going to be continuing doing in your life. And welcome to the Power of the Heart family. And until next time, guys, remember you have the power of the one. Go see this movie and check us out next time, Singing in the Rain. And we'll be back in a little bit. Bye for now.
Future, talk radio will actually welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in and you radio mix of today's hits and hard to find favorites. Combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UENradio.com.
Now we are going to introduce you and
This is
connect
Sunny
you
Chayes,
to
and
the
you're with-
wonderful, incredible Sufi Master, Dr. Ibrahim Jaffee, who's with us in the studio today. And it's really awesome because he's actually connected with Baptiste and the Power of the Heart in many ways. And our story that we're going to be talking about as our show continues is going to be much, much about the connection from the power of the heart and the heart to the head and the head to the wherever and all of that. So, and Dr. Abraham is doing an event this weekend that we're going to talk about, but let's just bring him on, John, shall we? We'll just kind of get to it. Yay!
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. And pleasure to be back on Sunny's show.
Thank you. So dive in. You got to watch the first bit of this show, so I'm just going to let you speak from your brilliance and your heart and whatever you'd like to say.
Okay, well, let's start with what happened there. I mean, this was what you saw was exactly the spiritual journey that happened for Shannon.
Oh, my goodness. Is that my phone calling? How did that happen? Carry on. Carry on.
Okay, so the first thing I just want to be clear for the listeners is that the power of the heart is about moving from the head to the heart and the blessings that happen when you're in the heart, right? And you saw that with Shannon. She's watching the show in the movie theater. All of a sudden, what moved her? Mm-hmm. Something powerful happened, right? But she was in her heart. You have to understand that moment she was in her heart, and then she said this warm feeling came over her body. It engulfed her, and she knew what she needed to do, right?
Yeah.
It's a knowing.
Yes.
Okay. So the teaching here is you go from your head, you go to your heart, and then when you're in your heart, this connection happens. Mm-hmm. Now, what really is that connection? That's the secret. The secret of that connection is it's the divinity. It's divine. It's spiritual connection, and at the highest level, it's the connection to God. Okay? So you go from the head to the heart to God. That's the secret. Now, I'm not saying God in the form of a religion, because all religions turn to God. I'm not saying in any particular tradition. I'm saying that when you live in the heart, the secret of the heart is the divine connection.
And what came to my mind to say when you were saying that was I was thinking of what was going on with her was trust, faith. You know, these words came to my mind to say. Yes. And when she was even saying, oh, and then my head came in and doubt and worry and fear and came in, and then I listened to my heart and again realizing that she did that impulse that happened while she was just in that dark movie theater watching this.
Yes.
9,000 miles away from the Chestermans.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, what you're teaching, what Baptiste is teaching, which I agree with and the Sufis agree with, is that the heart has the answers and that the head doesn't. So if she went with her logic, right, she would have talked herself out of it. I would have talked myself out. I don't want to jump out of a plane. Mm-hmm. You know, your mind talks you out of it. Mm-hmm. But in her deep being, she knew it was right.
Well, one thing I want to share with you guys, and I don't think I actually said her whole name last time for people who are actually watching this, but her name's Shannon, I want to pronounce it correctly, Kwakernaak. And what she shared with me off the show was that was actually the third time she was jumping. The first time, she got herself all geared up to do it and everything, and again, it was absolutely terrifying for her. Her family was sort of like, what the bleep? I mean, but she didn't tell people, and she didn't, very many people, and she didn't tell press, and she didn't do any of that. The weather changed, and the jump was canceled. So she could have actually said, well, you know, I did. I mean, I did everything that I was supposed to do. Maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe God doesn't want me to because the weather changed.
Yeah.
But the second she set up a second time and she got the flu. The third time is when she actually jumps. So isn't that incredible?
That is incredible.
It gives me the chills. It's like third time's a charm. But she pushed through that, and it was something that just, drove her, and the connection she'll have with the Chestermans is already super powerful, just to let you know.
But again, think about it. I mean, you actually brought up something for me. I used to do gliding, with parachute gliding. And I went to Austria my first time with my wife, and we were in Schwarzenberg, which is out near the Italian Alps. And so here we're going to jump off this mountain first time. And my wife runs ahead, tandem, and she jumps off, and I remember it was amazing watching her because she's literally jumping off a 300, 400, 500-foot cliff for the first time. So she's running and just jumping off the cliff, and her heart said go. So then I'm next, so I was supposed to come next, except it turned out that my parachute was too small. So they didn't want to let me jump off the cliff. So they go and they get this guy to run back to town 2 hours back. 2 hours, he shows up 3.5 hours later with this parachute that could hold me, and we're going to jump off this mountain. And as I'm sitting there, and this is again the power of the heart, I'm looking off in the distance, and there are these clouds coming, powerful clouds. And I looked at it, and my heart spoke, and it said, "Don't jump. It's too late. Don't do it." And the head of this thing said, "Oh, you're fine. That thing's way off in the distance. You're not going to get in trouble." I said, "No, my heart's speaking, and my heart's saying, don't jump. There's something not right here." So I stopped. I didn't do it. So the other guys got together, and there were 3 of them. They all jumped. There were 4 of them up in the air. This storm came in at like 30 knots. Unbelievable. It caught all 4 of them in the air, and it had amazing winds. It picked them up. At the end of the process, one of them got carried over into Italy. He went up to 10,000 feet and dropped over into Italy. The other one came down in a tree, broke his back, is paralyzed till today. The third one was killed, and the fourth one made it.
My gosh.
So I'm coming down. You see the power? This is the power of the heart. It shows you
that intelligence that we're now learning about with the
Exactly.
neurotransmitters, and that actually the physiologically learning that the heart does have
the heart
an
knows.
astounding intelligence.
But the real secret is not only does the heart know, but what's the heart communicating with that it knows? Where does the knowing come from? It comes from the spiritual worlds. It comes from divinity. And so that's where it's bringing it through from.
Well, because we have you here, I want you to chat a little bit about the event that you're doing this weekend, and also just school us a little bit more in the heart/divinity concept.
Okay, I'll be at the Sportsman's Lodge in Studio City this weekend.
Yay.
And,
the
I'll be
weekend.
teaching about Sufism, which is the purification of the heart to have that connection. So it's called spiritual connection.
And I did see the relationship, deepening the relationship within as part of the tagline or subtitle,
Yeah.
which I love, deepening the relationship within.
Exactly.
Whew. Big stuff, big
Well,
stuff.
what's really within us? I mean, we have our hearts, right? We all have our hearts. You have a beautiful heart. I love your heart, Sonny.
Thank you.
You're kind and you're good and you're nice.
Thank
right?
you, most of the time.
Most of the time. and then behind that is something we call the secret. The secret is this subtle place in everyone's heart, not just yours, which has that divine connection. We call it the seer, or the secret, and it's a very subtle light that's in everybody's heart. Yeah, and most people are very unaware of it, but it's there. That secret place is connected directly to God. Okay, and so, and everyone. So we can all say we're all connected to God. We all have a divine connection. And that connection knows really everything. It knows what's the future, it knows the past, it knows the destiny, it knows everything. So it's, that's what was speaking to me when it told me not to jump. But I heard it.
Infinite wisdom.
Infinite wisdom, if your heart's clear to hear it.
So it's that access, that ability to access.
Exactly. It's the access.
So a lot of people have heard of Sufism, and but many may not actually understand what it is. That it
Yes.
is a mystical aspect of Islam
Yes. Sufism
or
is
Sufism.
Excuse
Many people say Sufism, but it is
it's
Sufism. Thank you
yeah.
for
In the
correcting
West,
me.
they've been calling it Sufism, but it's actually Sufism. It is the mystical branch of Islam. Okay, and it's not a bad thing in the sense of it's not what you see. It's not fundamentalism. It's not people hurting each other. It's actually, I think, it's the gift that's going to bring it all together. The Sufism is the gift of the heart that will heal Islam, that will heal the problems between the West and that. I mean, even on the show we were talking beforehand, the number one movie of the heart is in Dubai.
Yeah.
And Dubai is so the people are listening. Everybody wants to know how to live in their heart. Everybody wants peace.
Everyone wants peace.
Everyone.
Everyone wants peace.
And we have to get out of this idea of separation that because, people are Muslims, they're bad. It's not right.
Yeah, and that is something that I know that I work with a lot on this show. I speak about Islam and all of that, just because, again, I think it's really important. I mean, there's 1.7 billion on the planet or more, so it's an important thing. And I also think of the Pope coming to the States and going to South America and really being on a journey and talking about our responsibility, taking a lot of the responsibilities that we've put into the political hands and taking them and putting them in the sacred hands, the spiritual hands, and the human hands, the community hands, like with environment, like with the finances, like with many of the aspects that go on in the world that, I mean, the Dalai Lama says the same.
Yeah.
The time has come for us to really.
We need spiritual councils, with all faiths.
The elders.
together.
We need elders.
Elders.
We need to listen to our wise elders.
Right, who can bring wisdom into what, when we're young and we're in our 30s and, which unfortunately is when much leadership happens and, we don't have the wisdom yet.
Yeah.
We're kind of being driven by our passions.
Or the humility.
Yeah.
To
as it comes.
the like the whatever happens with fine wine over a little time.
It
There's
ages,
something that
right.
really happens, or the patina of something. A few knocks and a few scratches and bruises and bone, heartbreaks. There's something. I mean, I'm even feeling that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna.
Getting some gray
Okay,
hairs
I'm
there.
going to be an elder. It's like, okay, I am an elder. I actually am when I speak to these young whippersnappers who are jumping around.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, I actually am an elder now, and I'm starting to embrace it slowly and slowly.
But you see, the thing is this: the spiritual truths are not with any religion. Right. Nobody has the market on spiritual truths, whether it's with Sufism or any other religion. In the deep spiritual side of it, what is the spiritual side? It's the connection to divinity with the wisdom and the knowledge and the knowing and the trust and the beauty and the goodness that come out of it. And so whether you're a Christian or you're Jewish or you're a Muslim or whatever you
Or
may
a Bushman, or
yeah, the connection, it's about that connection. And if people were like Shannon, where she's in her heart and the openness happens and that wisdom comes in, our world's going to work.
Yeah. Well, I so appreciate your work because I know that when you work with people, you take people very, very deeply, and I really, really appreciate that. I was thinking about one thing that Baptiste told me about the power of the heart, which you may not know, is he shared with me, but I know I can share with people, that he actually said that there are people who have come up to him saying that they were actually going to commit suicide, but after seeing the movie, changed their mind. I mean, the amount of impact that movie has had, and I really bless Beyond Words for sharing it. That's Michelle and Richard, who are the owners of Beyond Words, really sharing this movie around the world. But these are the things that by just, I mean, the expression, the ripple effect, I feel like I need a new one because I've heard that so much and I've said it so much. But really, truthfully, what does happen with these things? And we don't know what it is. I mean, again, Shannon went in just with her mom to go and have popcorn and with her mom and some friends, and that changed her life forever. Like, her life is different now. There's so many other things happening, even since a few days ago when we shot that. segment. I
Right.
mean, it's her life is different now.
That's beautiful. Well, I
But because she said yes to something. And isn't that the other part with the access is we have the feeling. So let me let you talk about that a little bit. It's like we may have the feeling, but then having the, sometimes the courage or the clarity to
yeah, to
go
with it.
head on, as my people used to say to me when I was little. Right?
Well, I mean, you get the connection, right? And you get guidance. But after you have the connection and guidance, the question is, do you actually really listen to it?
And act on it.
And act on it.
Yeah.
And follow it. And that's really what makes the difference. And, if you don't act on it, then you sabotage yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure when you did this program, this was kind of a divine acting for you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this wasn't something that I actually thought that I would do. And I've had people along the way say, just stay with it, stay with it. The reasons will become, and just keep, staying with it. And there are many things, I would say in the last year, where many things have come up that I've said yes to that I normally would not. And I've really been able to already see why.
Yes.
And many, I'm sure that
Exactly.
not later I'll find out, or maybe I'll never find out.
Well, this is a thing. The heart knows what you don't know, and it's speaking to you from divine wisdom, which knows things that you don't know. For example, I was on a flight the other day. Now, I always pray before I go on flights, and I always get answers, yes or no. And I have stepped off of flights when I've gotten no's. In fact, one time I was in Phoenix, and I walk up, I prayed about it, and I got clear, don't go on this flight. I walked around. It was, I won't say the airlines to protect them, but I looked at this plane, and I had the sense that this engine was going to blow up. So I walked up to the desk, and I said, I want off. They said, why? And I said, well, you want the truth? I said, I think that plane's going to have troubles. And they didn't believe me. Well, 5 minutes later, or half an hour later, the plane was about to take off at the gate when the engine caught on fire.
Oh, my goodness.
At the gate. And they had to
Whoa.
let everybody off the plane. And I walked back to the guy. I said, what do you think about praying and information of your heart now? And the guy looked down and he said, I will never say anything again. You're right.
Absolutely. Well, I think that with praying, with contemplation, with taking a breath, with, of course, also the power of words, really, really being in such a beautiful place before we speak. I mean, that's something I think about all the time, and I don't always get the luxury of practicing it. I mean, I may say things that I wish I hadn't said, but I'm much better at that than I used to be. I used to be much more impulsive but now I'm very, very aware. And when I listen to other people and myself and saying things like even changing, when I said to Baptiste, I was calling him the little engine that could, and it's like, he's so not that. And I named him, I would call myself that. And I was like, I'm not a little engine, and it's not about could, it's about I do it. And I'm little shiny. So just even the power of shifting upwards, or even saying the ripple effect, like what's the new thing we're going to say? Like I love changing it up. Even I was speaking to Michael Beckwith, who's a beautiful master of his own right, from Agape that he started, and we were talking about gun control, and we were speaking about, how to shift that. And he said, just like we used to say gay rights and change it to marriage equality, the words change the energy about it. So instead of saying gun control, it could be gun responsibility or gun wisdom or gun accountability. And I said, yes,
great.
Michael, that's exactly right. And so all the time I think of words, but also having that breath to have before we speak.
Yes.
Which men do much more than women. But anyway, it's just a thing I learned.
Well, the thing is this: if we want to have a really well-directed life, then there's a couple pieces that need to happen. One of them, first, is that we have to live in the heart, and the heart has to be the guide, not the mind. And that's what I think Baptiste's message is. And then the second thing, which is deeper than that, which is the next piece, is the heart needs to establish that divine connection and allow them to and learn to listen to that divine connection within it that will bring guidance and protection, support, care, and peace.
Beautiful. Well, I mentioned this, I think, earlier in the show, but I just want to say again that that Oprah put together this incredible thing from her own dollar and is really having people support it and talk about it. People like me, like the spiritual people, and just not necessarily the big networks, called Belief. And so when you guys watch this, it started Sunday and it'll be till next Saturday or Sunday, I believe. And if you haven't been able to watch it, definitely rewatch it. I'm sure it'll show again because it really speaks about everything we're talking about. It talks about going on the Hajj. It talks about it. She really lays out the stories, which is what I think takes us to our heart. Music and just the stories that we hear from one another. And so it is called Belief. Check that out. I really highly recommend it because I think it's very, very bringing together. She does a stunning job of it, but also, and also telling the stories of all different kinds of people, again, from Bushmen to Eastern European to, like that. And so, and you will love sharing it with your peeps, I know. So let me know. John is telling us we have 1 minute. Are you serious, John? Okay. Whoa. All right. Well, then let's see. What do we want to talk about? Okay. So I want to tell you guys that we have a promotion, which is 20% off if you sign up through this show for the event that is this weekend. And it's RAIN, like singing in the rain, capital, right? That's it. And so please do that. And please join us 20%. Yeah. 2020. Rain 20. And then we're going to be there together. And do we have his website on? I don't think so. Let's give out your website.
drjaffeemd.com.
Perfect. And guys, I just am so grateful that we have been here today with Baptiste, with Shannon, with this beautiful story, and with Dr. Jaffe coming to our land. Malakam salam. Or salam alaikum. And until next time, remember, we always have the power of one, and remember that, and go out and prosper your power of one, please. Until next time, just have an awesome day, and remember, we all matter, and let's live from our heart, shall we? Bye.